The Canadian Institute on Climate Choices has produced a case study of using green roofs in urban areas to assist with climate change, biodiversity, and improving the air quality. So we're going to talk to Julien Bourque, who is a research associate there, about that study. Welcome to the interview, Julien.
Hello, thank you for having me.
But Julien, can you give us an overview of the case study, please?
Yeah, so the case study looks at the city of Toronto and the Toronto Green Roof program that was adopted in 2009, along with the Eco Roof incentive that I can get into, that really that really set Toronto as a leader in terms of green roof policy, for sure, in Canada, as they were the first one to roll out something like this. And yeah, it's looking really at the business case of green roofs and how it can definitely make cities a better place to live, and at the same time really help building owners and managers save money.
Now, let's start with the basics here. What does a typical green roof look like?
So there's two sorts of green roof. There's extensive and intensive. So the extensive one, if I'm not mistaken, is one that is not as accessible. So you need less substrat. I'm thinking in French here. You need less earth, I guess, on your roof. But then again, you can plant. You can't plant as much, so you can't only plant smaller species that don't require as much water and soil as others would. And then the intensive green roof is where you have much more room to play in terms of soil, in terms of water, in terms of accessibility as well. So these are the kinds of roof you're going to see on your public library, for example, or on government-owned buildings and NGOs, for example. The main differences in structurally, for the latter, you definitely need a stronger structure to be able to support the extent, not excessive weight, but the additional weight. Thank you. Sorry.
Yes, that was going to be my next question, actually, because a lot of the in downtowns, the old buildings tend to be older, and I would assume that probably maybe their roofs are not as structurally strong, but new buildings can be designed with green roofs as part of them. Is that a fair summation, or?
It is, and I think that's key in terms of policy, where where Toronto really had the good ideas in terms of new buildings are required to have green roofs. So it definitely makes it much less expensive if you compare to retrofits. Then again, there are some buildings, usually more kind of manufacturing buildings, so the big one floors kind of manufacture, that were built with the anticipation of growth, where a second floor would be possible to be built. So the structure is already ready to receive extra weight. So these kinds of buildings, in terms of retrofit, might be a bit less expensive. But if we're thinking about definitely core downtown areas in bigger cities, or even smaller cities with older buildings, definitely the retrofit is more expensive. But the federal government has recently put some money forward for these retrofits, and definitely green roofs would be a good fit in these programs.
Now, I would imagine that you have to have quite a large square footage in order to have a measurable impact on air quality, climate change, carbon capture, that sort of thing. Is that fair, or are we able to create enough square footage of green roofs in a city to actually make a difference?
I think it's fair. The assumption that smaller roofs individually obviously don't have the same benefits as bigger ones. I think the key for green roofs as well, what's important, is the aggregation of all of these roofs that make it attractive. As this, we could compare, one tree at one place has benefits, but the urban forest as a whole definitely holds much more benefits. So the same kind of thinking can be applied to green roofs. Hence the importance of the policy that Toronto put forward to make sure that all new buildings have green roofs, and that so there's an option to opt out at a certain amount per per square feet per meter per, yeah. But then this funding that is received by the city goes towards the incentive, what's called eco roof, where smaller buildings and smaller roofs can be green as well using that money. Yeah.
Final question, Julien. What about the economics of this? Is there a measurable benefit to investing the money in green roofs?
There are definitely benefits. I guess one of the barriers is that most of the costs are going to be on private owners, and a lot of the benefits are going to be public benefits. So this is the reason I think that it's such important. There is such important in governments to step in and kind of and harness these social benefits and help private building owners to alleviate some of the costs, because it is another major barrier is that it is more expensive from the onset to kind of build a green roof. Over time, you're going to see a lot of cost savings, even for the private building owner, for energy savings and these kinds of savings for the owner. But that's over a long period of time. So therefore, why it's so important for governments to step in and alleviate some of these costs.
Julien, thank you very much for your insights. Really appreciate this.
Thank you very much.